What's good? Salutations to the nations, Angel Knots. It's your boy Young Sinai. So, got a couple things that we're gonna look into today.
Angel Knot.
This is why retro games are important in 2025.
Why are retro games so important? I always thought it was a matter of game preservation, or maybe for you it's even nostalgia. But as it turns out, that's just a very small fraction of the importance of not only retro games, but physical media itself. So if you're somebody who grew up with this stuff and has been
Yo, his shirt is hard.
collecting it for years, or maybe you're somebody who wants to start getting into collecting retro games or physical media, you found the right video. Let's talk. So most of us these days have devices like this, or maybe even devices like this. Or you can go as far as the phones that are in our pocket. But on a device like this, we have digital media. Dozens, if not maybe even hundreds of games pre-installed on it. And don't get me wrong, I think it's really cool and really awesome to have these sorts of things at our fingertips. But I've noticed something very recently. Thanks to the Chromatic, I'm having a bit of a Game Boy and Game Boy Color renaissance, as some would say. I'm rediscovering a bunch of Game Boy Color games that I didn't even know existed. And I'm
So, that Chromatic looks dope. It is sold out. I don't know if I like it for the price though. Like, I think I would rather just get a modded Game Boy. I think I am going to get a modded Game Boy. If I do, I'll do an unboxing.
thoroughly enjoying them. So for Christmas, I decided to get the rest of my family all Chromatics
That's why they're sold out. He bought them all.
by Mod Retro. Now, it's also good to point out that I did buy both of the boys their own video game consoles this year as well. Leland got a PlayStation 5 and Crosby got an Xbox Series X. So I thought the Chromatic
He's such a good dad.
was going to be just like a cool stock
I bought my son his first handheld this Christmas. I got him a Nintendo 2DS. He's young. He's 3 and he plays video games and he is good. He is really good. You know, we're trying to limit the time that he spends on them, but when he does play, he is very good. I got him a 2DS. I got him the wedge kind because it just seems durable, even though that is the dumbest looking handheld of all time. Let's keep going.
stocking stuffer that maybe they would look at and be like, ah, cool, one of those things from your childhood, Dad. But something wild happened on Christmas Day. And it started with my 11-year-old Leland. He picked up his Chromatic and he started going through my games and he found one of the newer releases by Mod Retro called Tales of Monsterland. And he started playing it and he just sort of became enamored by it. And it's a very simple little 8-bit action adventure side scroller. There's nothing crazy about it. But let me tell you exactly how and why that game got its hooks in him. We went to see Sonic the Hedgehog 3 the day after Christmas, I think. And when we drove there, the boys wanted to take some of their games with them. Usually they'll take their Switch in the car or maybe even their iPad. This time, because it was a brand new Christmas gift, they opted to take their Chromatic and they each got to choose one Game Boy Color cartridge from my massive collection that I have over here. Leland decided to take Tales of Monsterland. And as we got in the car, he popped this cartridge in and at first sight, he's like, ooh, some old school graphics. Now here's the interesting thing. If this were an app on his iPad or a game on his Switch or something like this is the point where he probably would have closed the game down and popped in something new. Maybe gone through 10 or 15 different new games on the course of this drive, just checking them out, right? But he only had one game to choose from. One physical cartridge, because that's all he brought. So what did he do? He played more of that game. And as he played more of it,
See, that's one thing that I'm so glad that I'm an 80s baby and I'm able to appreciate like the times that he's talking about of just having a limited selection, because now the day and age that we're living in, you know, with Steam, with all of the emulators and ROMs, sometimes, most times, I spend more time trying to figure out what game I want to play than I do actually playing the game.
He realized, wow, this game is
And I know I'm not the only one.
actually pretty cool. I sort of like this. And he played it the entire drive to the movie theater and the entire drive home from the movie theater. But here's something really interesting that happened. When we got home and he got out of the car, we were walking up to the house and he says, Dad, you know, I think I'm gonna try and beat this game today. Now, keep in mind, we're walking into a house that contains a brand new PlayStation 5 that he just got for Christmas with like Call of Duty and Fortnite, a bunch of other games installed on it. He could have chosen any other game. He chose to play a Game Boy Color game.
Yeah, see, that's super dope. That's like when I was saying with my son. My son, he's 3, but he appreciates all games. Like, he appreciates not just modern games like Fortnite and stuff like that. He hasn't even played Fortnite, but he'll play like Mario 2 on the NES or like Kirby on the Game Boy and just like beast at it.
And that's when I realized that we live in a culture these days where there are hundreds, thousands, in some cases, millions of things that are vying for our attention. We live in a culture where the real currency is attention. We pay for everything with our attention.
And I just want to stop and say, I appreciate you all giving me your attention, because you could be doing anything else in the world. But, you know, you're chilling here with me, and I am forever grateful.
Because really, if you have our attention, you'll get the money. Money isn't actually the currency that a lot of things are working with these days. And as I just said, the options are limitless. We have stuff like the App Store, Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, PlayStation Plus, even Nintendo Switch Online, all with thousands of different options to choose from. And now we have subscription services like Netflix and Hulu and Disney Plus. And when you subscribe to those services, you have hundreds, if not thousands, of games to choose from. Now, when I was a kid, I would have to beg my parents to drive me to the store so we can pick up a copy of a game that I didn't already have or didn't already play through. And over the years, I would amass all of these different games and cartridges, each of them having their own special stories and memories attached to them by me. Like this copy of Super Mario Bros. 2. As you can see, I carved my name
I just brought up Super Mario Brothers 2. That's hilarious.
into the bottom of this. In fact, my brother and I used to do this to all of our games. Here's my copy of Zelda with my name carved into the bottom of it. And this is because I loved this game so much. I spent so much time with this game. And here we are, probably, oh God, we gotta be coming up on 40 years since this game has come out, and I can still take the original copy that was purchased by me, pop it in my NES, and play it. And what's even more special is my kids can take this original copy, pop it in my NES, and play it. And the last time I checked, you can't do that with a digital copy of a game. In fact, most
Except with the ROM, right? I want to say how important I feel like it is for us who are parents or people who are going to be parents to be sharing our video game childhood with our children. Like me and my daughter, we went through Rocky Rodent. Now, a lot of people don't even know about that game. I love it. I'm going to do a retrospective on that game, but it's a really good game. And thank God for ROMs, because I'm able to show my daughter this game that I used to play when I was like 7 years old.
Most of the time, if a server goes down or the servers go offline forever, you never get to play that game again. So my son didn't feel the need to flip through a bunch of games to hold his attention. He only had the one game at his disposal. And so he found solace in that game. And this is something, as a kid of the 80s, we used to do a lot. I mean, hell, sometimes a game wouldn't even get good until you played it for an hour, maybe 2 hours. I hold such a reverence to the games that I grew up with that I've kept every single game that I ever received as a child. I even kept every single handheld device.
Yo, that's so hard that he got his whole childhood as a museum. That is cold.
That I ever received as a child and as an adult.
Wow.
All right, now here's another really interesting thing I observed over the last week or so, now that my kids have joined me on this Game Boy renaissance as well. And that is problem-solving skills. So my 11-year-old Leland is currently...
Yo. So, I ain't trying to pocket watch, but I wonder... I'm not trying to pocket watch, right? But this dude's setup is expensive. I don't know if y'all know. You feel me? But he has authentic arcade cabinets behind him. Like, I have an arcade cabinet. I'm gonna show it to you all one day. But he has like full size arcade cabinets and pinball machines, like real pinball machines. Those things go for like $8,000 sometimes. He has several of them. And he got him and his, like, I don't know if he said 2 or 3 kids. Those chromatics, those things are like $200 each. Yo, I'm not trying to pocket watch, but salute to him. You feel me?
playing through Ocarina of Time 3D, which is the 3DS version of Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. Him and I are actually playing through the game in tandem. So I am playing on my 3DS and he is playing on his 3DS. With one exception, we're allowed to ask each other about certain aspects of the game, but we are by no means allowed to look up anything online about the game. And this has made the game incredibly difficult for both of us. I will admit, the last time that I played it was probably when the 3D version came out, which has been at least a good decade. And I'm willing to admit I've forgotten a lot of things. And something I have observed with Leland and my 9-year-old Crosby is the second they get stuck, they immediately stop and they'll say, "Oh, I can't figure this out," or, "Hey, how do I get Epona out of the horse corral?" or a number of other things. And this is when they would typically grab their iPad and look it up, or just go to YouTube and watch somebody else play it. But the funny thing about this is, you know, back in my day, when we had games that were overly difficult, we didn't have YouTube. We didn't have the internet to bounce off of. We had to sit and figure it out.
We did have to sit and figure it out, but to be fair, we did also have strategy guides, right? Like, I think I used a strategy guide for Metal Gear Solid 2. I don't think I could have beat it without a strategy guide. And also, I think when the NES was first out, they actually had a phone number that you could call and you can get tips. So we did have some help.
Now,
if you sought that help out.
You followed an online guide or you followed somebody else's playthrough of Ocarina of Time, I would imagine you could probably beat the game in 10-ish hours, maybe 12 hours, depending on just how good you are at the combat. If you've never played Ocarina of Time before and you use no guides, no internet help, that game could take you, Jesus,
the rest of your life.
30 hours? 30 plus hours? There are a lot of things in those older games that don't hold your hand. And I think that this helps develop problem-solving skills. And it's something that I've noticed with my kids, especially now that they're really starting to take up a passion for retro gaming. And that is, when they first started getting into this, they would get to a point where they get stuck and they would immediately ask me or their mom, I just don't understand. Where do I get the Master Sword? Or how do I get the fire tunic? I don't have a wallet that's big enough to carry that many rupees. I didn't know how to get it back in 1998. I had to wander around Hyrule until I figured it out. And so letting him go on this journey of critical thinking and sort of self-discovery, I've watched him grow a lot. And he's starting to use these critical thinking skills outside of just playing video games. Little side note, this is why a lot of us Gen Xers have impeccable critical thinking skills. Thank you, games like The Lion King for Sega Genesis. So this has been a really interesting journey for me, not just as a person, as a gamer, as a video game preservationist, but most importantly, as a parent and as a spouse. It's taught me a lot. Observing my children's behaviors when they interact with this stuff just makes me realize how far things have come. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying this because I think things are bad nowadays. I actually don't. I really love stuff like this. I play a lot of games on my ROG Ally X. I play a lot of games on my Xbox. I play a ton of games on my PC. I love having the options. I love the fact that I can pull up the oldest, weirdest, most obscure Disney movie on Disney Plus at any given point without searching through my collection.
But now we have analysis paralysis.
I think that there is something to be said about that. But I also think it's really, really important that stuff like this gets preserved. And truth be told,
when you have limited choices, you appreciate what you have so much more. It's just the same as if someone had a very limited wardrobe. They just had a few shirts like that. Those articles of clothing are going to mean so much to them.
that's why I'm so fanatical about stuff like the Chromatic. This device here has not only helped me relive a lot of the fantastic memories from my childhood and rediscover some that I missed, but it's helping me see things about my children or about this younger generation that I didn't see before. And stuff like that is really, really important. While it is important, it's not just about games preservation. It's about recorrecting the attention spans of our children, of the youth. It is about teaching our children critical thinking skills in a more positive and a more fun manner. And also, I think we would all agree there is something really special about beating that water temple in Ocarina of Time without using any guides and knowing that you did it all yourself. And these are all really important things.
Yeah, that's how I feel. I ain't gonna lie, man. Sometimes if a game is taking too long, I just gotta look up how to do it on YouTube, And I felt like I was cheating at first, and maybe that is cheating, but look, at the end of the day, I got stuff to do. I'm not trying to be stuck in this one part of the game for, 40 minutes.
That I think the younger generations and the generations that are yet to come need to be experiencing, or at least should have access to. So the next time you go by a garage sale or a secondhand store and see a copy of Cobra Triangle with some dip's name carved into it with a wood burning tool, you should pick it up and keep it in your collection, because that thing meant something to somebody at some point in their lives. And
yo, I'm sorry if y'all hear my cats playing around and making noise. They are awake and they are acting crazy, but it is what it is. It is what it is.
Maybe it might mean something to somebody that's not in your life yet. Because it is my opinion that the more we preserve stuff like this, the better it's going to be for future generations to come. Because after all, it is the journey that we should be enjoying. Because in the end, that's what we are going to have the fondest memories of.
All right, so make sure that y'all like and subscribe to Topher A. I really like his channel, man. The dude seems like he is a awesome dude and an awesome dad. All right, y'all. Peace. I appreciate everybody who tuned in. Thank you and salutations to the nations. Peace. So as a side note, I just want to add that I've been watching a lot of his videos, and I see that he has been getting these arcade machines over time, and he's been getting them for very cheap, if not free sometimes. So I just want to put that out there to give more context. See, that's why you shouldn't pocket watch people.
Angel Knot.